But we will first finish your mutation and repair, no? So what are mutations? These are actually changes in the sequences, changes in the bases. There may be insertions, no, of a base or bases or polynucleotides that would move from one place to the other place. We call them as transposons, no? Those jumping genes, no? Ika nga, there. Now, whether there is a change in the base or insertion or deletion, definitely it will affect the sequence of bases that will be used to code for the or the formation of messenger RNA and the other RNA molecules that you will take up in transcription, no, with Dr. Carlos. And definitely, since we know that messenger RNA, transfer RNA, and rRNAs are utilized for synthesizing proteins, definitely the type of protein that will be formed or made will be different from what was the supposedly normal protein that should have been produced before the changes on our DNA. No, there. So it's important that our DNA molecule will be maintained in its original structure. And basically, as a double helical structure, there are important parts of that that makes it stable, resulting into the fidelity of the molecule, because we know that DNA is the one that will transfer what the genetic material from the parents to the offspring. Also, that is the very reason why, if you look at the mirror at yourself, you would find qualities, traits, physical traits that you would see from your mother and also from your father. No? Okay, so if there are changes, then it can result to mutations. And these are the sources of mutations. One, we know for a fact, have you taken replication? Finished, no? Yes? Tapos na? Yes. All right. So, um, replication by itself is not 100% efficient, no? It is, there are some percentage of error because, our system is not that perfect, right? Being humans, no? Second, damage to genetic material may be spontaneous, no? And this is due to the effects of the environment, no? And that is a way, that is a mechanism, that is a process by which organisms are able to adapt to the existing environment, the ever-changing environment, no? So spontaneous mutations, though there are changes in our sequences of our bases, they will not manifest, no? There. So they may be also due to chemical agents from the food that we eat, for example, no? Food colorings, food flavorings, no? And also from radiations. This can be coming from the sun, UV, ultraviolet rays. This can be coming from procedures that are done to ourselves, no? Like, for example, if you are subjected to X-rays, to your, what else? CT scans and the other modalities, no? Now, there can also be, as I mentioned earlier, transfer or jumping of genes, no? And these sequences of genes that are able to change places are called transposons, no? Ayan. So let us first see the replication errors and their repair, okay? But first, we will look into the nature of mutations. So there can be point mutation, meaning a base was changed to another base. For example, a purine base was changed by another purine base, and that would be transition. Or it may be a purine base being changed to a pyrimidine base and vice versa. And that would be a transversion. No? But just the same, that can cause mutation. So here is an example of a wild type sequence of codons. And as you can see, each of the triplet codons, triplet bases belonging to a codon signifies a particular amino acid. You can see that, no? So if ever, let's look at the third codon. If the third base of the third codon was changed from an A to a C, you can see here, AGA, the original, no, codes for arginine. But if the third base is changed to a C, it will still code for arginine. So apparently, the change is not manifest, no, there. And that would be synonymous or spontaneous or, yeah, there. Now, that second kind is when you change the second base G to an A. So therefore, instead now of coding for arginine, it will code for the amino acid lysine. And this is called your missense mutation conservative. Why conservative? Because arginine is a basic amino acid, and when there was a change in the second base, it still codes for the same kind of amino acid, a basic amino acid lysine, no? So therefore, each of these amino acids would have the same physical and chemical characteristics. And so therefore, if you look at the function of the protein, the function will not be affected, no? Now, another one is when the second base is changed to another base, G to a T, no? So what happens now? This codon now will code for isoleucine instead of arginine or lysine. And so there is a definite change from the kind of amino acid, no? From a basic to an aliphatic hydrophobic amino acid isoleucine. And therefore, that is your missense mutation non-conservative, no? So if you look into the function of the protein, definitely there will be much change in the function of the protein. And the last class is nonsense mutation, which when the first base of the second codon was changed from an A to a T, it becomes now a stop codon. And so therefore, the process of translation would immediately stop, no? This is DNA, no? So this has to be changed to RNA, no? And so from there, you can see the stop codon, okay? Then you can have insertion of a base or bases, and that will result to a what? Change in the reading frame, no? There, ayan. Same thing when there is deletion of a base or bases, then it can result to a change in the reading frame, no? And the fourth is gross rearrangement of chromosomes, as I've said, brought about by the change in the location or jumping of genes, no? Known as transposons. Ayan, okay? So here is an insertion deletion example, okay? So can you see the first codon ACA and the second codon AAG that comes from the normal, no, wild type? If G was inserted between the first and the second codon, definitely there will be a change in the reading frame. The first would be ACA and the second now is GAA instead of the AAG. Are you with me there? No? And so therefore, definitely the rest of the amino acid that will be coded for will be much different, no? And therefore, if we look into the protein is very different from the wild type, no? And then when you have a deletion of one base, say a base A here, diba? ACA, AAG, ang original. If that A of the second codon was removed, then the second codon will now be AGA instead of AAG. And AGA will code for arginine. And so therefore, there will be again a change in the reading frame. So therefore, the protein product will be much different from that of the wild type, no? And it will have a different function, okay? So the rate of spontaneous mutation at any given site on the chromosome ranges from 10 to the 6 to 10 to the 11 per round of replication, because we said that the replication itself is not 100% perfect, no? There. So you will see these at sites where mutation arise at high or low frequency. Now, some mutation-prone sequences in humans, human genome are, when you look at them, are repeats, no? They may be in a di, tri, or tetranucleotide repeats. So to give you an example of, by the way, these sequences are known as DNA microsatellites. These DNA microsatellites are important in human genetics as well as in determining diseases. Now, they are hard to be copied accurately during replication and therefore highly polymorphic in the population. No? So there. So these are examples of microsatellites. If you can look at your CCC, GGG, no? Then the other it's a CCC repeat, okay? The others are die repeats, CACACA, no? So those are microsatellites examples, no? Now, tautomeric shifts, no? Normal base pairing will be affected. A, we know complementarily binds with the T, and the C complementarily binds with the G. So cytosine, as you can see here, this is the normal base pairing wherein there is 3 hydrogen bonds between a CG pairing. And between a TA pairing, there's only 2 hydrogen bonds formed. No? And your cytosine exists in its, can you see this? Keto form, and your guanine exists in its normal keto form as well. While adenine exists in its normal amine form, and your thymine as well in your keto form there, okay? So when you say tautomeric shift, then the keto form can be changed to an enol form. And the amine form, which are the normal forms, can be changed to the imine form, no? And naturally, there will be consequences. Ayan. So, if cytosine, for example, cytosine pala exists in its normal amino form. If it was changed to a rare amino form, instead of binding with the G, it will now bind with an A, as you can see, no? And therefore, when this is used in the second round of replication, A now will bind with what? A T. So therefore, the normal CG pairing was lost, isn't it? Are you with me, class? Hello? Can you hear?
Yes
Now,
po.
all right. Thymine, for example, in its normal keto form, when it is changed to its rare enol form, will no longer bind with an A, but it will bind with a G. So therefore, the normal base pairing TA will be lost. Instead, there will be a CG pairing when it is used in second round of replication. You can see the change, no? Now the adenine in its normal amine form, when it is changed to its rare amino form, instead of binding with a T, it now binds with a cytosine. There. So again, if this is used in the replication process, definitely you would see the mutation. And then your guanine in its normal keto form, when it is changed to a rare enol form, it will no longer bind with a C, cytosine, but with a T. There. No? Okay? So those are the consequences of the changes in tautomeric forms. No? Ayan. Now, another one is when you subject our DNA to excessive heat. Now, excessive heat causes the cleavage of your N-glycosidic bond, releasing the base, resulting to an apurinic base. When the base is a purine, like this one, guanine is a purine, then it will result to an apurinic site, no? If it's where a pyrimidine base, then it will result to an apyrimidinic site there. And subsequently, the backbone that is stabilized by your phosphodiester bond will be cleaved, resulting into a break. But because of our repair mechanisms, then they can be repaired, which we will see later. Ayan. Now, alternative pairings for your 5-bromouracil. This 5-bromouracil is an analog of thymine, no? So this may be seen as a one there. So it has a bromine at carbon 5. Okay, there you can see. There is your bromine. And this common keto form of 5-BU, 5-bromouracil, binds with adenine. No? But when this common keto form of 5-BU was changed to a rare ionized form, ayan, then instead of binding with the normal A, it will now bind with the G. And so therefore, again, if this is used in replication process, you will see the mutation, no? Because the common keto form of BU binding with A will be lost. There will now be a CG pairing that will happen, all right? Okay. Now, another one is 2-aminopurine. This is a modified form of adenine. And normally this kind, 2-aminopurine, binds with thymine, no? But in its rare protonated form, ayan, it will no longer bind with the normal thymine, but it will bind instead with the cytosine. So therefore, again, if this is used in the subsequent replication process, then your 2-AP thymine base pairing will not be seen. Okay, it will be changed, I mean, and there will be a CG pairing. Okay, so there will be definitely a mutation process that happens, no? Now, another one will be alkylation. What is alkylation? Attachment of groups to your bases. An example is guanine being alkylated at O6. Ayan, there. So, the common alkylating agent is your EMS. What is EMS? Ethyl methane sulfonate, no? There. So, it usually attaches to O6 of your guanine. And when that happened, so you have O6 ethyl guanine, guanine will no longer bind with the normal C. Instead, it will bind with a thymine. And so therefore, the normal GC pairing will now be changed to an AT pairing. Ayan, when it is used in the process of replication. Another one is your thymine. This can be alkylated by your EMS, ayan, at position 4. There, no? Ayan, forming O4 ethyl thymine. And when that happens, instead of thymine binding with your adenine, it will now bind with guanine. And therefore, again, if this is used for replication process, then the normal pairing between T and A will now be changed to a GC pairing. Ano? Ayan. Okay. Now, another one will be intercalating agents, effects of intercalating agents. Example here would be your proflavin, your acridine orange, and your ICR 191. Another one is your ethidium bromide. If you look into the structure of each of these four, although ethidium bromide structure is not seen, no, is not given here, but that is the fourth, you would find this part similar. Ayan, colored orange, no? The cyclic part, no? Those with three cyclic structures. And so this you can see can intercalate, can insert in between the base pairing. And when that happens, tell me what enzyme of replication will be inhibited, class. And therefore replication process will stop. You have finished replication process. When there are intercalators like these agents, replication would halt because of the inhibition of what enzyme? Hello? Anybody can answer? Oh, you said you have finished the process of replication. What kind of DNA class is needed, is used in the process of replication? That is a clue to the answer. What kind of DNA? Hello, are you there? Uy, meron pa ba akong estudyante kaya? I don't see you, class eh. Hello? Are you still there? Wala na?
Nandito pa po
Hello?
kami.
Nandiyan pa. Ayun. So what enzyme? Your enzyme helicase will be inhibited, no? Among prokaryotes, what's the name of your helicase enzyme? Uy, your DNA B proteins, no? DNA-B proteins there. Ayan. All right. Some replication errors escape proofreading. Ayan. Because we know that our enzyme DNA polymerase 3 has a proofreading activity, namely 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. It removes wrongly incorporated bases, improves the fidelity of DNA replication by how much? 100-fold. No? There, ayan. Okay. So there can be misincorporation of nucleotides that can escape proofreading. Ayan. But luckily, our system and also the prokaryotic system has repair mechanisms that can repair this mismatch, misincorporated bases. No? So this is just an example. Ayan, generation of mutation during replication. Can you see if the base G was changed to an A there? What happens? What happens to DNA when a base is changed or when a base tautomerizes? Meaning an amine would be changed to an imine form. What happens? It is shown here, class. There will be distortion into the regularity of our DNA structure. Remember, our DNA is a double helical structure. Yes, 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 class. Hello. Hello. Ayan, class. See? When the G was changed to A, there will be distortion, and A, if this used in the second round of replication, A will bind with a T, while that G will bind with a normal C. So that will be normal, yes? But this one is a mutation. Ayan. Okay? So let us see the repair mechanism known as mismatch repair mechanism. This removes errors that escape proofreading. Ayan. And this increases the accuracy of DNA replication by 2 to 3 orders of magnitude. But there is a problem, class. How would the cells recognize that this strand is a newly synthesized? By the way, how is replication in prokaryotes and eukaryotes carried out? Hello? Why did I say a newly synthesized strand? Hindi ba dapat dalawang newly synthesized strand? Hello, class. How is replication carried out? There are 3 models of how replication may be carried out. What are these 3? Uy, replication process. Tapos na kayo, di ba? Hello? It can be carried out semi-conservatively, yes, dispersively, and conservatively. So among the 3, which is utilized by prokaryotes and eukaryotes in carrying out replication? Hello? Hi, hello, are you still there?
Semi-conservative po.
Yes, very good. Semi-conservatively. Ayan. So how can the cells, whether prokaryotes or eukaryotes, recognize that this newly synthesized strand is new and not an old coming from the parental DNA? It's a very critical time. It's a very critical phase in replication, because if the cells will not be able to recognize that immediately, then it will disappear, meaning it will be recognized as old strand. Our bases class later on after the process of replication will be methylated. Ayan. So, initially, right after synthesis, the process of replication, after the process of replication, our newly synthesized strand, the bases of which do not have methyl groups attached yet. Are you with me? Yes. So that's very critical for the cells to recognize this one. And if this strand contains misincorporated bases, then immediately the cells have to correct it. Okay? Yeah. So let us look into the mismatch repair among E. coli. And it involves this protein, MUT-S. MUT-S will be the one to scan the DNA, scanning for distortions, no? As I've said, if there will be changes in the base, in the normal base pairing, it will result into distortion of our DNA. There, ayan. So MUT-S will scan and recognize there the distorted part. It will bind there, ayun, and it will embrace the mismatch containing, including the pronouns twist in the DNA. After which, after binding, it will recruit MUT-L and MUT-H, ayan, there. This is a MUT-S, MUT-L ATP complex, no? That licenses MUT-H to incise the nearest unmethylated GATC sequence, ayan. There, no? Can you see? There. So the energy will come from the hydrolysis of ATP. There. Ayan. And an exonuclease generate a gap after removing that, after excising, no? There. This gap is filled by DNA polymerase 3, there, and subsequently, through the DNA ligase action, there will be creation of phosphodiester bond, resulting into the formation of a continuous newly synthesized strand. Ito yon, class, yung gray. Ayan. And the nicks are sealed, alright, by DNA ligase. Ayun. Can you see that, class? So MUT-H is the one that will cause a nick. Ayun. There. Can you see? With the help of MUT-L. Ayan. And then by means of a helicase, it will unwind the segment. Helicase is your URVD, and then through an exonuclease, it will remove that sequence with the distortion, no? There, ayun. Okay? So this is just another representation. You can see there the methylated bases, so that will be parental, no? And the other complementary strand will be there, ayun. Okay? So you have there your MUT-S recognizing the distortion, and then MUT-H, ayan, will cause a cleavage, removing the misincorporated bases, and then subsequent to that will be polymerization by DNA polymerase, and then DNA ligase will seal the nicks, right? So this is the summary for the mismatch repair mechanism. Ayan, MUT-S embraces, okay, the distortion. Then there will be recruitment of MUT-L, which will activate MUT-H. MUT-H will now cleave. Ayan, it create incision or nick on the unmethylated newly synthesized strand near the mismatch or misincorporated base or bases. No? And then there will be the action of helicase unwinding to release the oligonucleotide or the bases, and then by means of the exonuclease removing that segment, and then there will be a gap. This will be filled up by DNA polymerase 3 specifically, and then DNA ligase will now create a phosphodiester bond, creating the backbone, no? Producing one long continuous strand, newly synthesized strand. What about among eukaryotes? The mismatch repair has a counterpart, no? So the MUT-S of your prokaryote has a homologue among eukaryotic cells represented by all capital letters, MSH, no? Your MUT-L by capital letters MLH there. And incidentally, among eukaryotes, they lack MUT-H homologue. MUT-H homologue is the helicase, no? UVRD, no? There, which creates the nick there. No? So it will create the nick, and then through the helicase activity, it will unwind, and then subsequent exonuclease removing that oligonucleotide. In E. coli, hemimethylation marks the newly synthesized strand. Ayan. So when you say hemimethylated, only one strand, the old strand coming from the parental DNA would be methylated. The other newly synthesized strand, the daughter strand, is not yet methylated. No, that's the meaning of that. Next would be DNA damage. DNA damage can be caused by environmental mutagens, as I said, what? Ultraviolet irradiation, gamma rays from X-rays, and other procedures, ancillary procedures, also coming from the environment in the form of cigarette smoke, no? What does cigarette smoke contain? Ano kaya? Ano meron? Cigarette smoke, ano meron? Sa food, ano naman yung merong mutagen? MSG, for example, what is MSG? Vaccine, no? What is that? Monosodium glutamate. Ayan, no? But this damage can always also result from the action of water. Ayan, let's see. So DNA undergoes damage spontaneously from hydrolysis. What are the kinds of hydrolysis that can be carried out? The amination, which is the most frequent. There can also be depurination, removal of the purine base. No? So, example, you have there your 5-methyl cytosine. Yes, there, 5-methyl cytosine. I know. This is what? Cytosine. Ayan, cytosine. Can you see that, class? This one is 5-methyl cytosine. This is cytosine, the normal, no? When this amino group is deaminated with the help of water, then this cytosine is converted to uracil. Ayun. Another one is the loss of a purine base. This one is guanine. There. And if this is subjected to heat, then the N-glycosidic link will be cleaved, resulting to an apurinic site. No? There. Ayun. And then the amination of 5-methyl cytosine. What happens? 5-methyl cytosine is converted to a normal base, thymine. So what can you say, class? Can the cells recognize this? Yes or no? More frequently, class, this change of 5-methyl cytosine to thymine cannot be recognized by the cell. Ayan. So this kind of deamination, hydrolysis reaction, is a hotbed for forming mutation. Ayan, no? Because the cell does not recognize this thymine as an abnormal base. As a matter of fact, it's a normal base. No? Yes. So here are the other deamination reactions. For guanine, it can result to formation of xanthine. For your adenine, it can result to the formation of hypoxanthine. And definitely, class, xanthine and hypoxanthine will bind with not adenine, will not bind. Adenine, when it is changed to hypoxanthine, will no longer bind with thymine. Similarly, guanine, when it's changed to xanthine, will no longer bind with cytosine. No? So here, ayan, example there. If cytosine was changed to uracil, uracil will no longer bind with guanine. Instead, it will bind to adenine. No? What about adenine? When it is changed to hypoxanthine, it will no longer bind with thymine, but instead, it will bind with cytosine. Okay? So you will see there the mutation. Now, this I have given you through the effect of high temperature, excessive heat. There will be cleavage of your N-glycosidic bond, resulting into an apurinic site. No? And subsequently, the backbone, the phosphodiester bonds will be cleaved, resulting to a gap. Okay. Now, DNA can be damaged by alkylation, oxidation, and radiation. Ayan. So what are the parts? For example, you have guanine. Your double bond between N7 and carbon 8 there is very susceptible to oxidation. Your N7 and O6 of guanine are very susceptible to alkylation there. And the X-amino there, ayan. The nitrogen here. What is this? Nitrogen at carbon 2 is more commonly affected by deamination. There, ayan. Okay? Now, what about reactive oxygen species in the form of your superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, and your hydroxy radicals? Ayan. Oxidation of guanine. So, what is the part that is most frequently oxidized? The double bond between nitrogen 7 and carbon 8. Ayun. There. Okay? So, what happened? Ayun. It will form 7,8 dihydro 8 oxoguanine. For short, oxo-G, no? Which can pair with adenine or a cytosine, leading to GC to an AT transversion. Ayan. So you can see now the mutation. So here, ayan, your 8-oxo-DG, no? There, this is in DNA because deoxyguanine, no? Ayan. Now, thymine, when it is subjected to ultraviolet irradiation, can form your pyrimidine dimer, thymine dimer, because initially it will be converted to a glycol form, ayun. Okay? And this carbons here, 5 and 6, with an attached OH can liably react with another thymidine glycol, forming a cyclobutane ring, forming your thymine dimer. There, ayan. Example of a thymine dimer, which is a kind of pyrimidine dimer. There. And so, if there is a dimer formation class, let me ask you again, what enzyme in replication would be inhibited? The same thing, your helicase enzyme, no? Do not be able to unwind fully the double-stranded DNA. Similarly, you will take this up with Dr. Carlos. In transcription, what is that enzyme that will act as a helicase, trying to unwind the double-stranded DNA, creating a transcription bubble? Your RNA polymerase, no? It has a helicase activity, okay? There. Another dimer or photoproduct is your 6,4 photoproduct. Ito yun class, okay? That again can affect the process of replication as well as transcription. Meaning it can inhibit, no? Now, another factor, another agent is your ionizing radiation. This can be gamma coming from X-rays, no? Ionizing rays, and they can cause double-strand breaks there, which are particularly hazardous. Imagine, both strands will be cleaved, definitely, that will be deleterious, no? Certain anti-cancer drugs, such as bleomycin, they can also cause DNA breaks, class. All right. Now, mutations are also caused by base analogs or intercalating agents. No? So I have given you examples of intercalating agents. You have what? Proflavin, acridine orange, ICR 199, and your ethidium bromide. No? Ethidium bromide class was formerly used in visualizing your DNA strands after doing a polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, as well as your agarose gel electrophoresis. But because of its mutagenic potential, it was removed and was changed to another, no? That is not harmful. There. So unlike thymine, 5-BMU, 5-bromouracil pays with guanine instead of adenine. Ayan. I have given you this, no, in the previous slide. There, so again, alternative pairings for your IVMU. The rare ionized form, instead of binding with the normal A, will now bind with the G. I have given you that, no? Intercalating agents, again, okay, the polycyclic ring. Here is the example, ethidium bromide. There, ayan. Your proflavine and your acridine orange and your ICR 199. So those are intercalating agents there. And they can affect the binding of these bases when they are intercalated. So let us see now the repair of DNA damage. No? Ayan. Now, two consequences. Some damages, such as thymine dimer, nicks or breaks in the DNA backbone, create impediments to replication as well as transcription. Some damages create altered bases that have no effect on replication but can cause mispairing, which in turn can be converted to a mutation. Yan. So here are the DNA repair systems that we will go through. Your direct reversal, it will can repair pyrimidine dimers, methylated base. BER or base excision repair, it can also act on damaged bases. Your NER, nucleotide excision repair, it can act also on pyrimidine dimers and bulky adducts like your 6,4 photo product. Your recombinational repair for double strand breaks, and the last will be SOS repair. No? Ayan. So let us see the first one, direct reversal of DNA damage, under which we have photoreactivation and methyltransferase and reaction catalyzed by O6 alkyl-guanine alkyltransferase enzyme. No? So there is this is for the photoreactivation. So again, can you see the distortion in our DNA? No? If there is a formation of a pyrimidine dimer in the form of thymine dimer. So this can be recognized by DNA photolyase. There it will be able to bind and it will be able to remove the cyclobutane dimer, resulting into the reformation of the normal thymine bases. And therefore, there will now be optimization of the binding of complementary bases between T and A there. Ayan. So this is carried out by the enzyme DNA photolyase. Okay? So when you say photolyase, it needs ultraviolet light. So this is the cycle. Now your photolyase class needs a coenzyme, no? An electron acceptor and donor in the form of your FADH with one dot. Ayun. Diba we know your FADH2? Yes? When you say FADH2, how many electrons and protons were accepted, class? How many? 2 electrons and 2 protons accepted. Yes, very good. So 2 electrons and 2 protons. No? That's why it becomes now reduced to FADH2. But this one is your FADH with a 1 electron. Ayan. So you have there your thymine dimer. Ayan. Okay? So this will be through the help of your light. Yun. 550 picoseconds. No? There. There will be transfer of 1 electron coming from FADH. Ayun. Can you see that? Now this will now move towards your cyclobutane ring, cleaving your 5 to 5 prime bond. There is splitting of the 5 to 5 C5 prime bond. Yun, there. Now you can see now 2 electrons there. After that, 1 electron will be given back to your FAD. Okay? To become now the FADH with a dot. Ayan. And then the other electron will stay and it will cause now the cleavage of the other bond of your cyclobutane ring involving the carbon 6 and carbon 6 prime. Ayun. Resulting now into the free formation of your normal thymine bases. Ayan. Alright? Hello? Yes. Pinapunta na kayo dito?
Opo.
Ah, I see. Nag-start na.
Alis po.
Diyan na lang kayo, kayo maingay. Now, this one is your methyltransferase, no? Enzyme. There. You can see that at the active site, you will find an S-sulfhydryl group. There. So this is the one that will abstract the methyl group, no, that was attached to the base. And what happens to the enzyme? The enzyme dies there. But the effect of that returns the base to its normal form. And so therefore, after forming the normal form, it will optimally bind with your complementary base. Now, this slide shows us the active site of your methyltransferase enzyme, your O6-alkyl-guanine alkyltransferase enzyme that has a sulfhydryl group, no? The sulfhydryl group, the sulfur atom, will be the one to attack, nucleophilic attack, obstructing the methyl group. But what happens to the enzyme? The enzyme commits suicide, no? There, yun. So these are examples of your methylating agents, your MMU, your EMS, and your MNNG. No, your MMU is methyl nitrosourea. Your EMS, I have given this have given you this in the previous slide, and your MNNG is your N-methyl and nitrosaguanine. Okay. For your BER class, base excision repair, this removes the damaged base and subsequently repair it. So for example, a base uracil was incorporated. This will be acted upon by uracil DNA glycosylase. There will be cleavage of your N-glycosidic bond N1, no? Glycosidic bond releasing uracil. And subsequently, through the action of your AP and the nuclease and AP ligase, the backbone will be removed, leaving a gap. But this gap will be polymerized by DNA polymerase, and subsequently by means of DNA ligase, there will be formation of your phosphodiester bond. No? Now, this table shows you the different glycosylase enzymes, no? Depending on the base that is involved. Yeah. This is just to show you the other forms. Now, what about NER? Now, NER class involves the proteins UVRAB as well as your UVRB, no? As well as your UVRC there, no? Ayan. So the damaged excision complex is made up of these proteins, no? Ayan, as shown. The UVRA and UVRB recognizes the damage and makes two and the nucleolytic cuts, no? With the help of your UVRC. Ayan. So your UVRC will make a cut at the 3' end around 3 to 5 nucleotides, no? From the 3' end of the lesion. And as well as this will make a cut about 8 nucleotides at the 5' end of the lesion. So medyo mahaba. It will be longer, much longer than your base excision repair, no? So the lesion, the excised oligonucleotide will be around 12 to 13 nucleotides long, no? There, ayan. Okay? And so after your action of UVRC cleaving those areas, there will be helicase activity as done by your UVRB, removing the oligonucleotide, giving rise to a very long gap. But don't worry, you have your DNA polymerase 1 that will polymerize the gap, and then your DNA ligase that will now form your phosphodiester bond, completing that part, that strand of your DNA. No? Ayan. So this is the summary for your NER, ayan, UVRA and UVRB. There, ayun. Okay? Now, among eukaryotes, there is an analog or a counterpart in the form of your XPC proteins, XPA, XPD, okay, XPF, XPG. No? What do you mean by XP? Xeroderma pigmentosum. what do you see in a person who has XP? Hello? Ito yung parang namumuti sila, yung para bang ano, anak araw, they cannot just get out. No? And these persons have a defect, an altered nucleotide excision repair. No? Ayan. So the counterpart of your UVRA in E. coli is your XPC among humans there, responsible for, again, recognizing the distortion in our DNA helix. The equivalent of your UVRB is your XPA and XPD. Together, of course, with your RPA. What is RPA? Replication protein A. You must have taken that in replication. Ano yun? Okay, so just review that, no? And then the nucleases would be undergone by your XPF and XPG. This is like your UVRC in prokaryotes that will make nicks or cuts, no? There, okay? Let us look into recombination repair of double-strand breaks, no? So here is a representation. Ayan. So there
The
is a
presence
break.
of a thymine dimer blocks replication, but DNA polymerase can bypass deletion and reinitiate replication at a new site downstream of the dimer, which is referred as post-dimer initiation. The result is a gap opposite the dimer in the newly synthesized DNA strand. In recombinational repair, this gap is filled by recombination with the undamaged parental strand. Although this leaves a gap in the previously intact parental strand, the gap can be filled by the actions of the DNA polymerase and DNA ligase using the intact daughter strand as a template. Two intact DNA molecules are thus formed, and the remaining thymine dimer eventually can be removed by excision repair. It is otherwise known as daughter strand gap or sister strand gap repair system because only the gaps formed opposite to dimers, rather than dimers themselves, are repaired. Since recombination repair occurs after DNA replication, in contrast with excision repair, it has been called as post-replicational repair.
Now, for your SOS class, we will not take up the details. What I would like you to remember is that this is an error-prone repair system. Okay? So this is utilized if no other repair system is available. No? But what I would like you to remember is, again, this is an error-prone repair system. Okay? So that winds up our... how do I stop this? Stop presenting. Ayan. So the next class is your translation process. So please put up your volume because this is a recorded lecture. Okay.